10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this January 21st, 2018 evening. And Chris, we are in the midst of the down period of the bodybuilding season, as I like to call it. January is kind of quiet. I mean, I know the LA Fit Expo was I think it was last weekend or something like that, or the weekend before that. But, I mean, really nothing going on in terms of competition. So it kind of, to me, it frees me up and it allows me to kind of like start like, exploring different topics and not worrying about having to report, especially when we do the radio show. Usually the radio show, when there's a big show, we spend half the show reporting on, what happened and all that. And so to me, I like it better when we have some downtime because it doesn't put as much pressure on me and we can kind of talk about whatever we want, if we're picking our nose or whatever the case may be. So you told me something. I think you slipped up. Most people think that the technician Chris Aceto has not lifted a weight, since he retired bodybuilding, but that's not true. Well, maybe it is true, but you've actually just recently gone back to the gym. Tell us about that.
Yeah. To do cardio, dude. I don't lift a thing.
Right, but why are you doing cardio?
Because I can't sleep. Because I get up so early in the morning. I can't even. It's just ridiculous. I keep getting up earlier. I just can't sleep past no matter what time I go to bed. We're doing this radio show. It's 11:47 at night.
Right.
I will get into bed at 2:30. Bing, 5:15. I'll be up.
Really? Wow. So you sneak out when everyone's sleeping and you go to the gym?
Yeah. Because what am I going to do? So I also thought, just in case I'm on the road to having a heart attack,
you better just.
I figured I might as well do some cardio.
You're going to live forever because you're on that restricted calorie,
I know,
intermittent fasting diet because you hardly eat. So
I know
people like you will live forever, But
I wanted to follow Trump's program, which he's the battery program, where he thinks that exercise takes away from your longevity. He was critical of people. He says, all my friends who exercise heavy, they're 50s and 60s and they're lifting weights and having their hips replaced, their knees replaced.
Right, and he's fine.
Yep.
In the 70s.
He's fine.
Now, why wouldn't you just go back to the gym then and just do like weight training, a little bit?
Because I'm all in on, dude. I can't get under a bench press and do like 180. I mean, if I can't,
How about doing 135 pounds? What's wrong with that?
No, I'd have to go to Kuwait and just jack it up first.
Well, you told me that Tony Atlas trains at your gym. You could train with him every morning.
I saw Tony Atlas.
Why don't you start hooking up with him and doing some workouts with him? You probably can't keep up with him, but I'm sure.
No, I couldn't. He trains 6 days a week, and he does neck and forearms 3 times a week.
He probably still has a big neck.
But he does chest, shoulders, tri, back, and body, and legs, and then repeats it.
He does the old doubles, the 2 body parts a week,
Yeah, and he told me that you have to get him on live with the video.
Yeah, I haven't had him on in a while. I had him on the radio years ago, but
he's out of his mind.
How old is he now? 70?
I don't know, but he's got to have 22, 23-inch arms.
Still?
Huge. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'd love to send him to Kuwait.
Maybe you could film like a video with him in the gym. No one even knows where he is. He's like, I didn't even know he lived in Maine. I thought he lived upstate New York somewhere.
No, he's in Maine. I see him all the time.
That's so funny. And he trains at the gym, he's like Leon Brown, except Leon Brown drinks a lot of alcohol. I don't think Tony Atlas.
And he knows his bodybuilding history. I mean, you could say, Samir Benoot, he could dissect for you what years he looked good, what years he looked his best, what years he looked off.
So he's got a good memory. His mind
and he could working. Do, Arnold's chest routine from 1973, and then forget it. Don't get him going with politics. He's
very
he's up on his politics. Yeah, opinionated. He did he said that Trump and Vince don't listen to nobody because I didn't know that they were friends. Donald Trump and Vince McMahon.
Yes, very very tight friends. That's why I think Linda McMahon was appointed to the cabinet, wasn't she? She got a cabinet position.
Small Business Association.
Yeah. They were very supportive of the Trump presidency, run for presidency. I know that for a fact.
Yep. So
well, you sent me that article on the WWE, which was crazy.
Oh yeah, I sent you an article today about original programming, how they are just like killing it financially with their original programming.
They made fun of Vince when he decided to stop with the pay-per-view stuff and said, "Hey, I'm going to sell for $9.99 a month. You sign up on the internet. You belong to the WWE website." And people are like, "You're crazy. No one's going to sign up on websites." And Vince proved everyone wrong. I said it. You and I said it right from the beginning. He's a genius. He's going to make millions on this.
Dave. He is. He's one of. He's a genius.
They're the number 2 YouTube channel on YouTube, and they're number 1 in sports, but they're the number 2 overall channel on YouTube. That's crazy.
Think about that.
Just think about the revenue. They make probably crazy revenue just from the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Insane.
Well, think how many times, think how many times he's laid it on the line and leveraged up, pledged all his assets for, to expand his business. So it's either, when you do that, it's either you sink or swim. You either, I'm sure you've seen the documentary on the first year that he did the WrestleMania at the Silverdome.
I've talked to his daughter. Told me. Stephanie told me
they were down to last penny. They had to sell the place out.
Yeah,
and they did.
Yeah, and it not only did they do that the first year, but the second year too. They risked it all. But you know what? They had a brand that they knew everyone loved, so there was no risk really. I mean, it was a risk in the sense that do we need to go this extravagant? But Vince said, look, we need a Super Bowl, and he was right. I mean, and the brand is strong now, and I mean, they're making billions and billions of dollars. I mean, there's anything they do is successful. Even, when I was talking to Triple H about that, the NXT, it's kind of like their training facility down in, where is it, in Orlando?
Yeah.
And then he started his own little league. So the wrestlers that go to the training facility have their own league called NXT, and they sell those arenas out. He's like, Vince couldn't even believe it. He's like, because that was like Triple H's baby, and then he said, I told Vince, Vince is like, I don't think it's going to be successful. And sure enough, they sell those arenas out because the wrestling fans are stalwarts. They will go to the end of the earth.
They're like female bodybuilding fans, but, right?
Right.
Aren't they?
They're like schmoes, yeah. Exactly. They love it. I have a couple of friends. So I have very good friends that I get. There's 2 people I'm very good friends with that are super wrestling fans, and I always get them tickets, from Triple H for certain events. And I mean, they love it. They love it. They send me pictures from there. They're like, they can't get enough of it. And, and the truth is that, while I enjoy going once in a while because I like to go see, Triple H and the wrestlers, and I'm sure once my son's older, I'll probably take him to more events. They just love it so much. I just give them the ticket. I don't want the tickets. They love it so much that I want them to enjoy it. They gain so much more pleasure out of it than I do.
Sure.
So Tony Atlas, I got to get him on the show. Yeah, you got to talk. Well, now that you go into the gym regularly and you see him every morning, tell him.
Yeah,
say Dave wants to get. Dave and I want to get you on because I need you on that interview too. We'll do a live with. Maybe we'll do an iron debate. Maybe we'll do an iron debate.
He could do. You know what? Okay, then you can. Now you get someone to debate Dexter.
Tony
because I told you the only person I chickened out on to debate is Dexter.
What about Cedric? Would Cedric debate Tony Atlas?
No, I don't. You might have to get. You may have to get like. You got to get like a know-it-all on there.
Yeah.
Because Tony knows history and finance and you name it.
Right, but what's his whole belief system on the whole bodybuilding world nowadays? Does he have like an outlook on it? Does he think it's good,
don't know.
bad?
Good because he loves bodybuilding, okay. So he's going to say good. And he has Arnold stories. He has Sergio stories.
I'll get him on by himself.
He has Lee Haney stories.
We'll get him on by himself.
He beat Lee Haney the year that Lee Haney won the Nationals.
Oh, really? Where? Like at the Mr. like Ohio?
At the I think it was like the it was at the Coastal USA. How can I forget? If he's listening, he'd be pissed.
Really? He beat him, and then Haney went on to win the Nationals.
Yeah.
Or Junior Nationals, whatever it was.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's funny. Now, what happened? Did he stop competing, and he didn't? Is that why he didn't do he didn't go beyond that?
I don't know. He got into the bodybuilding. Into the wrestling, and that was his his money.
Yeah, I'm sure he made a hell of a lot more money wrestling, right?
But he loved bodybuilding. He loves them both.
Tony Atlas. I'm gonna
He's
look up.
nuts, dude. He's nuts in a good way. He's great. He's great.
I remember interviewing him. It was a very good interview when I did on the radio show years ago. But once again, now that we have video, I'd love to get him again.
Yep. He's remarkably funny. I posted a picture of him that I took in the gym the other day with his arms. They're like 22 inches for sure.
He's got to be 70, don't you think?
Yeah, he's got to be.
There's no way he could be less than that. He can't be 60s.
Well, what do you think? I mean, yeah, he's
He won the Pro Mr. America. It says 1979. That's all that listed.
He used to be in the Muscle Digest magazines in the back.
Oh, I remember.
Like advertising Dan Laurie, all his shakes and waist firmers and.
That's funny. Tony Atlas. What?
He can tell you what he bench pressed every year from probably 1965 on.
He probably still bench presses 405, I bet you.
Oh, I'm sure he's strong.
I have replaced shoulders at 49 years old. He's probably at 70. Probably shoulders have perfect cartilage.
He could come back and he could definitely come back and.
He could beat Dexter.
No, he could come back and wrestle.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe they just don't want to let him because maybe they figure it's just a health risk, But he's probably in better shape than a lot of those guys probably up there.
I'm sure he is.
I'm surprised they haven't gotten him back for like a Legends.
They had him managing stuff for like a few years back. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I guess so. Tony Atlas, that's great. Well, I'm glad to hear you back in the gym. That's good.
Well, I'm like on a treadmill. I'll consider it the gym. I mean,
yeah, I'm not even allowed to leave the house in the morning. I can't even sneak out. I would be scorned because obviously we have small. Well, you have small kids too, but I have to. I watch. My job is Logan. And my wife's job is Aria, the new baby. And Logan needs supervision still because if he doesn't, he does checks like while I'm sleeping, and I sleep in this little. I have a beautiful bed I bought. We spent like a ton of money on this beautiful bed. This these most sophisticated mattress you can buy now. It like you lay in the thing and it tests what mattress you need. It's like a whole computer system.
Oh, you get like a sleep number or something?
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know. It was in
even more tech.
Yeah, it was one of these things. The mattress was expensive. I slept in it for like 6 months. It was heavenly, and now I'm in a twin bed with it's the hardest mattress of all time. I'm in the twin bed and in my son's room. Like I feel like I'm back in my room with the posters on the wall, the Charlie's Angels posters on the wall, the Farrah Fawcett posters on on the wall. I'm back in the room, and I
love sleeping in the twin bed with I sleep with the 4-year-old sometimes. I read books and I can't get by. I'm like
you like living. You like sleeping on the couch though too.
Well, so. I can fall asleep on the I get up at 5, but I can fall asleep every minute of the day throughout the entire day. That don't make sense.
Well, my daughter doesn't. She likes to be held constantly. That's her thing. Otherwise, she cries. So, my mother-in-law watches Logan at the house while we're at work across the driveway, and my wife has the baby there. And, after my wife can't get any work done, so I'll take the baby, I'll feed her, and then I'll lay her across my chest because that's all she wants to do. And she'll sleep and I'll sleep. That's the way I get my naps during the day. I sleep with the baby. I do the babysitting duty.
And you can. That's good. I miss that new baby smell. You get the right. Yeah. It's like new car smell and new baby smell. Nothing's better.
Isn't it funny that like kids just have no bad odors? There's just nothing. I mean, after they poop, you wipe their poop up and they're fine.
Little babies, they don't.
They don't have bad breath. They don't have anything. It's the greatest. It's like fresh. It's like you said, like a new car. Then when you get old like us and everything stinks, you gotta put deodorant on to prevent your armpits from stinking. You gotta put cologne on to get your body odor to go away. You gotta brush your teeth and use mouthwash to get your mouth odor gone.
Floss.
Yeah, you gotta put foot powder in your shoes to get your foot odor. It's right. And the older you get, the more stinky you get for some reason. I don't know what the problem is, or so it seems. I think old people just stop showering. That's what I think it is. They're like, who the fuck cares? Who am I trying to impress at this point? So. All right, let's talk about. I guess the news of the week is the Ferrigno Legacy Classic, which we had been billing the last couple of years as this growing show that was so popular. We've had Lou and his son on.
It did an end run.
Well, it seemed like the last one was the most popular one as far as the pro division was concerned, and they canceled the show. So I reached out to there was two promoters. Chris Minnis was partners with Lou Ferrigno and his son Lou Jr. And I reached out to Chris last night, and I talked to him, and he said, well, Lou and his son, they're busy, and there was some, I guess, disagreement in where we saw the vision of the show going, and I guess they didn't want to put as much time into it, and he's changing the name of it or something like that and doing some other show. I think he's trying to do some pro show in Long Beach.
Translation, we're losing money.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I think. He didn't say it. He said, well, we broke even. That's what he told me. And then I talked to Lou Jr. Just before the show for about 20, 30 minutes. And, he said, look, my dad is really busy with TV. He has his own TV show, also Lou Jr., SWAT, he's doing. And, I guess, I don't know, there was a breakdown in communication from what I understand, between the two parties. The two partners. And, when that happens, Chris, you can't resurrect it. Look, Lou's a legend, okay? And Chris was lucky to be aligned with him because Lou opened a lot of doors for Chris in the NPCIFBB. And at the same token, you once you start being successful, you can't forget that Lou is your partner, and I think that maybe there was a lack of that there. And then also on the other side, I think when, Chris is a worker, so Chris did probably a lot of the work for the show. And, maybe after a while he starts saying, well, I'm doing all the work, maybe I'm more important than them. Maybe he starts resenting them. That happens, it can happen. And it's not like anyone's fault. It's just you set up a certain dynamic and you're fine with it when it first starts. And then after a while, you're not happy with it anymore and you want to change the rules and you can't. So I understand it's on both sides. There's definitely something that didn't go right, and when you have a partnership that's not working, you got to end it. And I hope Louis does decide to revamp that show at some point in the future. Because
maybe they can call it they can come up with a new one and call it the Beta Legacy Cup.
Maybe Beta can partner up with Lou.
The Beta Legacy Cup.
Beta can put the money up and Lou will put his name on it, and they can make it bigger than the Arnold Classic, probably, if they really wanted to. Except Beta would want to hold it in Kuwait. That's the only problem. You got to hold it in a place. Here's another thing. Look, let's just call it like it is. John Lindsay runs California, the NPC in California. He's been doing it for years. Does a great job. Makes a ton of money over there. And I consider John Lindsay a friend of mine. But John Lindsay doesn't want anyone, muscling in on any of his territories over there because that's his bread and butter. Not to mention that there's probably too many shows there already that John's running all throughout the state. So it's hard to get another NPC show for Lou to run, at least in a good area. And let's face it, the pro show loses money. There's no way to make him. The only person who makes money on a pure pro show is Steve Weinberg. I don't know how he does it. New York Pro, because it's got a just people love that show. And he makes money. But I guarantee he makes a lot more money on his amateur shows than he does in that pro show. Because the only way you can make money on a pro show is sponsors and ticket sales. With an amateur show now, because there's so many people doing them, you get that entry fee money from the people. So I think that's the problem. They weren't getting enough of the amateur entries because it was it's like an offbeat. It was in the desert. It's like in an offbeat area of California. And
Palm Springs, right?
It's at the end of the year, where people are done competing, and it's a tough sell.
Yeah, but they had they had a lot of competitors.
I know. I don't know, Chris. It's something.
And Palm Springs, it's not like Maine, for God's sake. You make it sound like it's in Maine.
Maybe they should move it to Maine.
Who doesn't want to go to Palm Springs?
I know, but it's the end of the year. People have no money left.
Beautiful.
They want to. They want to relax. No one wants to diet through Thanksgiving. Let's face it. They're all done by
Maybe
then.
they can have it with the Ferrigno Legacy with like a California pot festival.
All I know is I want to get a hold of one of those trophies, because those incredible. I knew what this was going to happen. I knew that the Incredible Hulk statues that they make would become rare. Now everyone who has one, it's worth a lot of money because there might never be another show again. They're one of a kind. These things. I got to get my hands on one of these things, but I refuse to pay for it.
Well, you can call Ferrigno and see if he has any extra.
Well, who won this year? Cedric? Did Cedric win?
No.
He won. He won
won?
San Marino. Cedric. Who won?
Yeah.
Rulli?
No, the guy who went with the 9 kids, according to Sergio Oliva.
Oh, Brandon.
Yeah.
I got to get that trophy from Brandon. Who won the year before that? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
Isn't it terrible? We have no memory. We can't remember these things. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, I got to get a hold of one of those Ferrigno Legacy statues. For people who haven't seen it, it's like Lou, but green. It's like the Hulk. It's the coolest. My son would go crazy. My son's obsessed with the Hulk, so he would love it. My friend John Manello bought my son this. It's like a Hulk toy. I think I mentioned this to you. I play with it more than he does, but it's so lifelike, this Hulk thing, and it makes all the noises and says Hulk smash, Hulk crash.
Oh yeah, you showed it to me.
Yeah, I showed it to you. Oh yeah, your sons are playing with it. I mean, so now my son is obsessed with this thing. So if I ever got him that statue for his room, because what we do is we play this game before bed. We point to all the like he's got the Spider-Man on the wall, he's got a Spider-Man in a thing, he's got a blanket in his crib with Spider-Man. So we go through all the Spider-Man. So we go to he's got a Batman clock Batman light. And there's like 16 Mickey Mouses around the room, and then there's he has a blanket with the Hulk on it, and with Captain America. So we go around, we do all this. So if we put the Hulk in the room, he's got this fist also. My friend John bought him. It's a Hulk. It's just a fist, and it lights up green if you turn the light on. So I needed a Hulk. I needed a Hulk statue. Anyone out there who's got one can get me one. I got to call. Maybe Chris Mintz has an extra one laying around, or Lou Ferrigno does. Great statue. Anyway, it's a shame. It was a great show. I hope somehow it gets resurrected. Like I said, if I didn't have 14 jobs already, and if you didn't have 14 jobs already, maybe you and I would team up with Lou.
Forget it. That's why we're doing the show at midnight, dude.
That's right.
We have too much.
Yeah, we have so little time that we have to wait till everyone goes to bed in our houses to do the radio show.
It's ridiculous.
So now you're going out to LA. That's why we're recording this show actually a day early.
Yeah.
What's going on in LA with you?
I'm going to go out and see Roden for like 12 minutes and then get back on the plane and come home.
You going with your family?
No, just me.
Really? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, he wanted me to come out. And
your wife is letting you go for one day?
Well, it's 12 minutes.
But for you it's like 14 flights from Maine.
I know. I have to go from I know. I need my own plane.
So is that good news or is that bad news that he wants to see you?
It's good. It's good news. It's good news, and
I mean, in the sense of what he looks like.
No, he looks very good, okay. And
he's not doing the Arnold though, right? Is he?
Yeah, he's doing the Arnold.
Okay, he is. You're right. He's on the list. Okay.
So he said, can you come out and?
Wouldn't it be easier for him to fly to you?
Yeah, but it would be easier for me. Right,
but I'm just saying. I mean, he can get on a plane. He can come stay for a week with you if he wants.
He's in a groove.
All right.
And I don't know. Tony Atlas might get jealous.
Bring Tony Atlas with you.
Oh, I'd love to bring him. I'd love to bring him to the Olympia to have me, you, and him cover it. He'd be like incredible.
Bring Tony Atlas. Say, Tony, we're going to check out Roden in Venice Golds. He would be freaking. It would be like taking a kid to fucking Disneyland.
Oh yeah, totally.
Can you imagine traveling with Tony Atlas, like 70 years old, you and him?
Yeah, because you know what, he looks the same, and everyone would recognize him.
Yeah, right. Probably right. You're probably right.
Talk.
Oh my God, he keep you up the whole plane ride.
Maybe we can get him, Dave. Me, you, and him to cover the Olympia.
If we can get him out there, yeah.
He'd be sensational.
I know.
He'd he'd stand up at the press conference and say, "Sit down," and he'd tell everyone to shut up and tell, I'm asking the question here.
I'd like to see him and Samir battle it out, verbally, of course. I don't agree with you, Samir. I don't think you're right.
Oh, he can go for hours, man. Just tell me when you want him on, and I'll get it.
Yeah, talk to him tomorrow. Get me his number again. I probably have it in my phone, but just get it anyway. All right, so you're going to see Roden for one day.
Yeah, just take a quick look at him.
Are you flying? Are you actually going to go to Gold's Venice, or are you just going right to his house?
I'm going to Gold's Venice because I think he was actually. I was going to as I planned. He wanted me to Santa Barbara, which is really? Even like another flight, weird. But they have the mudslide, so he went. He left Santa Barbara, where he lives.
Oh, really?
Which might be good for him. Mm-hmm. And he's training down back in Venice.
Or maybe it's not good for him.
No, I think it's good for him because he can train with Psycho Chris there and Stan Animal, and he can get pissed at Dexter when he sees Dexter swag in there. And,
right, he doesn't get intimidated by Dexter, though?
No.
Like psyched out?
Rogan don't pay attention to nobody.
You got to do a little reporting down though for us while you're there. You got to get some gossip while you're there.
Well, I'll talk to Sergio.
Yeah. What did you think about the Iron Debate? It was Sergio, Jose Raymond, Fuad Abiad.
Tremendous.
Talking about the Regan Grimes.
Tremendous insight.
Leaving.
Everyone just had their own little, opinions.
What was your favorite quote?
It
had to be by Sergio, I'm sure.
Sergio's filled with quotes. Sergio.
What was his favorite line?
He said, "Well, Kuwait didn't work for De La Rosa. It didn't work for Hakeem. It only worked for Brandon because he got 9 kids." Which you and I can understand because we have to do the show at midnight.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A lot of distractions.
In other words, it's a it cuts through the distractions.
Absolutely.
If you
Absolutely. I like Sergio because he's not afraid to say what's on his mind. And you know what? He made a very valid... I don't know if any of you guys haven't seen it. You can go and check out the Iron Debate from this past week on RxMuscle.com and on the RxMuscle YouTube channel. And, what he basically said was, these guys today, and, he's one of these guys today. These guys today don't want to spend years working on their physique so that they can be the best open bodybuilder they can be. He's like, these guys, they compete if they don't turn pro in 1 year, they get discouraged, they drop down to men's physique or classic, or if they, they don't win a pro show, they want to switch divisions, because it's easier. And he's like, why can't you just work and work your way up until you even if it takes 10 years to be the best bodybuilder you can be and then compete in the open, you can't expect to win right off the bat. Very few people like Phil Heath,
Well, it segues into, not to jump ahead, but you did an interview with Cody.
Yeah.
And I introduced those two.
Cody Montgomery.
I thought Louis Marco did, but it was actually me who introduced them. And it was weird. I didn't think they would, they just hit it off in like 1 second right from the get-go for some reason.
Yeah.
But Cody had won at 20, the USA, and Sergio
first open show.
Yeah, and Sergio was getting ready to do the nationals, which he won, and Cody said right to Sergio, like, you're gonna win. It was, it was just like a really important, it was like a day before, a day and a half. He looked at him and he was posing for me and Cody. And Cody just, he gets, when he gets wound up, he gets wound up.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of encouraging things to say, and they can hit it off from there. But so looking back, now Sergio feels that Cody moving to classic is a mistake because he feels that there's just so much growth ahead of him.
Well, and he's right. I said the same thing to him. I said, as a matter of fact, I quoted Sergio, and the interview we're talking about is Cody Montgomery contacted me and says, I want to break some news on your show. I said, fine, of course. I'm going to say no, of course. I like Cody. He's a good kid. I said, great. So we got on there, and I didn't even know what he wanted to. I said, right before the show, what are we reporting? He was like, I'm switching to classic. I said, he said, but I didn't. Chris and I had this planned.
He wanted to break it on Louis' show, but he said he was going to fucking. He was going to use the F word.
Yeah, and Louis doesn't interview people who swear.
Oh, we can't have that. We can't have that. We can't.
Not proper. Okay, so Cody, comes on the show and tells me that he's switching. He's got a new baby, 6-month-old baby. He feels that he didn't do as well as he thought he should have done at the Arnold Classic, and he just doesn't. He really wants to get back to he wants to be on the Olympia stage this year, and while he wouldn't admit that he couldn't do it in the Open this year, he basically feels that he has a good. I guess in his mind he feels he could win the Classic Physique Olympia. I really think he believes that. And
can I hold you? Can I interrupt you for a minute? When he gets something in his mind, he's probably listening to the show.
I'm sure he is.
When he gets something in his mind, he gets. Talk about obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing that he gets it in his mind because he gets obsessed with it, and he just he just works towards that goal. I mean, he's a workhorse too. You know, I mean, not to say other bodybuilders aren't, but he has when he's in the tunnel, he has a massive capacity for work.
Well, you know, what I did was I quoted what Sergio had said in Iron Debate. I said, you know, Sergio said that, you know, that you're kind of abandoning, you know, your what you started out, you know, to do, which is to be the best bodybuilder in the world, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, I can always come back to it. I the way I see it is it looks like he's going to give it this 1 year shot and see how he does. If he doesn't do well, he'll go back to the open.
He'll probably start, which he has, because he has not trained for a long time. And he'll probably get training, and he blows up when he gets on a good diet and training. And I told you, right? He's a great trainer. Mm-hmm. I told you that. Yeah. And very impressive. And he'll probably overshoot, meaning he'll be like...
yeah, how is he going to make that weight? He said he hasn't weighed out 200 pounds since he's like 17 years old.
I don't know.
He was 225 at the Teen Nationals. I think the second year he won, right? Third year he won, right?
Yeah.
And then he won the USA probably at around the same weight. So... I don't know. I don't see how he's going to make that. You're helping him. I mean, do you think he can make that weight?
I don't know, because Arash couldn't even make the damn weight last year. How's that at the Olympia?
No, but Cody's short.
You want the truth of it.
But Cody's short. You know, Arash is taller, you know, right?
Well, it makes it even worse.
How tall is Arash?
I don't know, 5'8".
What does he have to make? What does he have to make? What weight?
205.
Oh, so Cody has to make 200, he told me.
210, whatever it is.
210, yeah. But Cody has to make 200, which is a lot lower.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll see, because your physique's not the same with, you know...
People think their waist is going to be just as small as when they were 100 pounds the first time.
You just summarized it perfectly.
Who knows? But he's only 20 years old, so you never know. You know, bodies seem to be more pliable at that young age than they are when they're 30 years old. So,
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, look, it's a good experiment. If he's going to do an experiment, this is the time to do it. What is he? 23 now? I think
he is.
I think he's at 23. He told me.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, I mean, what's if he blows 1 year, you know, not growing as much, and I think he's still going to grow. Then.
He's nowhere done growing. He's nowhere done growing.
He's just hitting his stride right now.
He grew in 1 year from the Teen Nationals, Dave, to the
USA.
It was ridiculous.
I know. You look like a different person. So we'll see. We'll see if he goes out. It's a great interview though, because you know he was very emotional in the interview, and I thought it was very real and it was touching, and I think you know. You see a different side of Cody Montgomery, so guys, you could check that out also on the RxMuscle YouTube channel. And we also had a really good Iron Rage with Lee Priest this past week.
What's he raging about?
It was Lee Priest and John Romano. We were talking about the legalization of gear, you know, because...
I thought you were going to say pot.
No, legalization of steroids. Because John made the analogy of how pot, you know, went from being this, you know, major drug that they got kind of bamboozled through Congress and made a controlled one substance, like with heroin. And it never should have made it there. And it's the same way with steroids. Steroids got classified as controlled substance. It was a controlled 3 substance. But everyone fought against it, including the DEA. The DEA didn't even want to have steroids as a controlled substance.
You know what?
They pushed. It was Bush. It was Bush won. Bush won, wanted to make a big deal about it. And
look at, you know what? Just think about it. Just look at what the senators look like. I mean, they're just pansies anyway.
I know.
I'm serious. They're such pansy-looking people. It's not surprising that they want to get rid of, like, test and ante, for God's sakes.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? One of my mentors, my friend Dr. Mike, who I've talked about plenty of times on the show, he told me, he goes, these senators will change their mind about anabolic steroids when they realize that they can live longer and feel better on the stuff. And that's really where we're at now. We're at think about this. 15 years ago, if you talked about hormone replacement clinics and getting testosterone prescriptions at the age of 35 and over, people would have said, you're out of your mind. They'll never do that. So I guess we're in a better position now than we were 10, 20 years ago, but we're still not where marijuana is, where they're ready to legalize it, or anything like that. So I think that we got to just keep plugging away and educating, and hopefully, as these older congressmen that are kind of very conservative in their ways, disappear, and maybe some more younger people come in there, guys who understand that hormones can be, something good for the body, and that if people want to have 20-inch arms, they should be able to, just like if they want to go for if women want to get breast implants and have, triple E boobs, they can do that too. And under a doctor's supervision, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's an interesting topic. Of course, Lee Priest goes crazy at the end. Actually, I think Lee Priest.
I can see the Mitch McConnell pansy men talking about testosterone. This, well, what will our we don't want to filter it down to high school football players, and we're worried about the kids, and it's ridiculous.
I actually asked Lee Priest about Cody Montgomery at the end of the Iron Rage, and he said, "Cody who?" And
he don't know who he is.
He doesn't know who he is.
He
doesn't know who he is.
No, because Lee Priest he just knows who Dillette is, Cormier, Wheeler, people that he was with.
Oh my God, he knows Louis Marco.
Right? You get the tattoo. Did he get the tattoo removed?
He's in the process of doing it. Yeah. He's still got a bunch of treatments left. So that was interesting. That was an interesting iron debate. We had a lot of good stuff going on during this past week. So, and for an industry that's kind of quiet right now, we have a lot going on. So, people liked our radio show last week. I got a lot of good reviews.
What did we talk about?
I don't think I remember.
Probably the same stuff we're talking about this week.
Who knows? We can't even. When we start repeating
age, snakes, fathers.
When we start repeating exactly what we said the week before on the show, just hopefully one of our listeners will tell us, so that we don't continue to tell the same story over and over every week. Then we know we got to close the show down.
The government is shut down. Do I have to go to the line tomorrow when I go to see Rogan for 12 hours?
No, what is that? What's that all about? What do you mean the government?
There's going to be no line, no TSA, or the TSA is going to be out. The line's going to be 10 miles, one of the two.
Why is that?
I don't know, because the government is shut down.
Are we at that point where they shut down the government?
I don't know. Does that mean I can speed down to Portland to check on frozen pipes, and when I get a ticket, I can say, I thought the government was shut down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody can catch me from that.
I didn't know you can shut the government down. Who knew? So what else is going on over there up in Campusito?
I went to a jazz club last night.
You went out at night?
Now. Yeah. We go out a lot at night. We're at that age. I leave the 4-year-old, with a bong, and I'm just kidding. Leave the 4-year-old with the 14-year-old and the 12-year-old, and goodbye. We're out of here.
Really? You trust them, huh?
Except you want to know something really pathetic? Why you're asking me why I can't even do weights from the treadmill? My legs, my hips were just killing.
Really?
And my knees were killing. Yeah, so it destroyed. I struggled to enjoy being out because my age was I needed a filter change if I was a car, or a tune-up. I needed Testananthe, but the government won't give it to me.
It's funny that you say that, because I was in agony. My new shoulder that I have was the shoulder joint wasn't hurting, but all the muscles around it were hurting. I'm like, oh my God, I probably fucked it up. I did something screwed up, and I have on the same side, my sciatic nerve is irritated, almost like I took a shot, but of course I didn't. So I'm a complainer. I'm complaining to my wife. She's like, "You're an idiot." I said, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You've been carrying Logan around with you up and down the steps.
Oh yeah, kill you.
That can't be. It doesn't even feel like.
Yes, it is. I dislocated my shoulder. I'm dead serious.
How pathetic are we? I'm like, it doesn't even feel heavy. She's like, you're compensating. I see the way you walk. Can't walk anymore.
You want to know something ridiculously funny? I never told you this. When I had my first child, who's 14 now, I was so happy to have him. I would have him in my arm for hours a day. What is, he weighed 8 pounds or something, right? 10 pounds. hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, the entire day. Then the next day, the entire day. My shoulder started to ache, and I had no idea what it was coming from because it wasn't lifting weights, wasn't doing treadmill, wasn't, And then my wife had told me it's from holding the baby. I said, you're out of your mind. And, I did. I switched to the left, which I'm not a lefty. And then the left started to hurt.
Wow.
That's how I knew.
Yeah.
And I went to see my senator. I said, I need a shot of testosterone. They said, not over our dead body. We'll shut the company down before we...
Someone sent me this link to this one of these websites. I think it's Kevin Grex, The Evolution of Bodybuilding. They did a whole little report on something Bob Ciccarello said, which I think these guys just look for stories, to report on so that people will go visit.
Yeah, he contacts me, Evolution of Bodybuilding, to give me some.
Yeah. So anyway, the story was that Bob Ciccarello refuses to call Jeremy Buendia Mr. Olympia. In other words, he thinks
he's not Miss Olympia.
Well, no, he even though he's the men's physique Olympia champ, but he believes that the term Mr. Olympia is reserved for Phil Heath. Do you think that's disrespecting the title that Jeremy has, or do you agree with that?
He is 4-time Olympia physique champion.
Right, men's physique Olympia. Yeah, champ.
He's an Olympian winner. He's the 4-time. He's the Mr. Olympia physique champion. He's the Mr. Olympia physique champion.
Right.
Period.
So you feel that he can use that title in his social media and everything like that, and that's acceptable.
Well, when you go to Las Vegas, is it the New York Pro or is it the Mr. Olympia?
I agree. I think that, I don't necessarily think that it's semantics, of course, but I don't have a problem. But I think that he deserves the right to call himself Mr. Olympia. But
wait, there's not a cease and desist on him, is there?
I understand what Bob's saying. Bob's basically saying that Mr. Olympia should be, that title alone should be reserved for the greatest bodybuilder in the world. These other guys are just different divisions, but no one's as great as the Mr. Olympia. But I guess these guys, just like Brian Ansley, deserves to be called Classic Physique Olympia champ, right?
Well, what's he called himself?
212 Olympia champ. I think Bob had a problem with the term Mr. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, we'll spell it out. MISTER. Still call it. We'll call it Mista. Like in Maine or Boston, Mista. That's how it's like Paul DeMeo. He's Mr. Olympia. Mista.
Here, I'm going to read the story to you. A public post was published by John Hawley, the photographer, about 4-time Olympia physique champ Jeremy Buendia on his Facebook page. Jeremy unfortunately had to have an operation to repair a pec tear and he posted a video of himself on Instagram when he was at his best in 2017 with a message to his fans that he will be back. This was the discussion that took place where Bob, to us, joking or not, his comments can be seen as great disrespect towards the 4-time Olympia champ. Bob, quote, "What's his title again, John? ? John Hawley. Quote, "Like Sean Ray might say, I'm just reporting. Bob Ciccarello, quote, LOL, he needs to be correcting that shit. Only one Mr. Olympia title." That's the whole exchange.
He's Mr. Physique Olympia. Don't have it then. Just don't even have it.
Then they wrote, Bob literally showed that he has no respect for Jeremy, even if it was a joke. This is not something you write on a public post. Is it because Jeremy wrote 4-time Mr. Olympia physique champion on his Instagram profile page? Did he have to remove the Mr.? ? Technically, he is Mr. Olympia of the physique category, just as Flex Lewis is the Mr. Olympia.
It's so crystal clear. Mr. Olympia physique. What did I say?
Yeah, no, you said the same thing.
When I first said Olympia, 4-time Olympia physique, I said, he's 4-time Olympia physique champion. That sounds comfortable. Because the Mr. Olympia, I understand it like Mr. America.
Yeah. Now,
4-time Olympia physique champion.
Bob also said a couple of days ago, he posted something on social media saying that all these guys that are switching, the pro divisions.
What do you mean?
They're going over to the Raphael's division, Raphael's thing, his Elite Pro League.
What do you mean?
There's 2 IPBs now. There's the IPB Pro League, which is the one that
But there's only one Mr. Olympia, according to.
No, you're confusing. Don't confuse the stories. Let me let me differentiate. There's the IPB Pro League that's run by Jim Agnon. That's the Mr. Olympia competition. Then there's this Raphael's started his own pro division, which we talked about, the IFB Elite Pro League. Now there's people that who are competing now in this new league who are still saying they're IFBB pros. Should they have to stop using that title if they're no longer IFBB pros and they're now competing in this new league? I mean, what do you think? Bob says they should stop using it. It's disrespectful. They're not. They're misleading people.
No, I think he's wrong there as well.
People are saying he's saying that they should say they're former IFBB pros.
They're both IFBB, correct? Are they both using that word IFBB?
I guess, I don't know. But
For
the other one's
God's
IFBB
sakes.
Elite Pro. I don't know. It's very. There's a lot of semantics here, Chris. We're doing.
So is it the IFBB Mr. Olympia or is it just the Mr. Olympia?
It's the IFBB Mr. Olympia.
Okay, it's the IFBB Pro. Oh God,
Right.
that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I know. So I don't know. I don't have the answers. I only report.
I have the answers. I just gave it to you.
So you're saying they can't? They should be able to use the title. If they leave the IFBB Pro League, okay, and they decide they're going to compete in a different league. Let's forget. Let's say it's not the IFBB Raphael's league. Let's say it's NABA. Let's say it's NABA. They're competing in NABA. Can they still?
Go ahead.
Let's say they're competing in NABA. Can they still use the name IFBB Pro if they're no longer competing as an IFBB Pro?
They can actually. I would say they could use. I would say no because they're not an IFBB Pro. Meaning
So
like
then you're agreeing with Bob.
Well, I see the point.
Yeah, no, I do too. That's why I'm trying to lay it out. I'm trying to lay it out so you
which
see the
IFBB?
point.
If you're talking about if you came from the Mr. Olympia version of the IFBB, that IFBB, Jim Manion's IFBB, and you don't renew your IFBB Pro card,
Right.
you're no longer a IFBB Pro.
That's what Bob's point was. That's exactly Bob's point.
You are a former IFBB professional.
That's exactly Bob's
but not
point.
a current.
Right. So Bob's saying these people are misleading people by saying that because they're not card carrying members anymore.
But they're card-carrying members of the IFBB Pro Elite. They can say that. I mean, IFBB Pro
They
Elite.
could say former. They could say former.
You know what? They should just really the Mr. Olympia. They should just ditch the entire. I wouldn't even compete with them. Let them have the IFBB. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I mean, it does mean something though.
No, it doesn't. Mr. Olympia does.
Right, but if Jim Manion runs the IFBB Pro League, which sanctions the Mr. Olympia competition, then if you're in a, Raphael's just being cutesy about using the IFBB name. He owns the IFBB Amateur League, but he made his own league, and he's calling it the IFBB Elite Pro League. So it's confusing. Now, I don't know I wonder if the IFBB Pro League can sue him for using that because of how if you have a trademark on a mark, it's you can show confusion about the mark, then you can make someone stop using it. I don't know, but they both own the term IFBB, so it's difficult to distinguish if it really is or isn't. I know it's silly semantics, but people there's a lot of competitors that get confused.
After 1 year, this will all work its way out.
I don't think so. I don't think.
It'll work its way out in that. Right. Listen, I can guarantee you this. Raphael and the IFBB Pro Elite have to lay it all on the line this year. If they are not successful in their first year out, they're like a stock at an initial public offering. If you don't take off from the beginning, sell it, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know what? You could have, for some reason, you could have... What we know about the Olympia is it's going to be wildly successful this year.
It's wildly successful every year.
Well, that's why it's going to be wildly successful this year, because the history is there. So the risk, there's no risk at all that the Olympia is going to be a dud. And the risk is that the new Pro League, or the IFBB Elite Pro League, if it doesn't come out the first year with like tremendous competitors and like lots of money,
which it won't.
It's done.
Which it won't.
Well, it may or may not. We'll have to wait and see. But if that is a guarantee, if it doesn't come out swinging and
who's
smoking.
doing the show? Rodin's not switching. You know,
I don't know. That's
Rami's
my
not
point.
switching. So I mean, who are they going to get? They're going to get upcomers. Now, you know, it might take a number of years to build that up. I don't know. But
yeah, but that's the point.
Doesn't every top bodybuilder
nobody
in the
has
world,
any attention span. You cannot if they don't if it's not a home run from the get go.
It's done. Yeah. Because think about it. Doesn't every
it's the stock
bodybuilder
that opens? It's a stock that opens at 10, and by the end of the day, it closes at 8. Sell it. It's never going to come back.
Yeah. When you start weight training, okay, and you start competing, what's the ultimate goal in your head? Even if you won't tell anyone, you want to win the Mr. Olympia. I mean, that's the only way you can win the Mr. Olympia is through the IFBB Pro League. So I mean, you're fighting a legacy. You know, it's just not going to work out well, but. It is what it is. I like all the arguing and all the. It's only going to make the IFBB and the NPC that much better because it's going to force them to work harder to make their contest better, to make the experience better for the athletes, to provide more prize money and more opportunities. So it always works. Whenever there's competition, it always works out for the athletes and the press because it gives us more to talk about. So I have no problem with that whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What else? Let me look at my list, my non-existent list of stuff to do. What do you think about Dennis Wolf? Did you see the pictures of him?
I just saw a back lat spread of him.
Yeah, you see he's training with DJ again.
Yeah.
How will he do? If you have to predict. I mean, it's a tough lineup to come back in.
Yeah, it's a tough lineup to come back to, and he's not. He's not getting any younger, but neither is Dexter, neither is Roden. So I guess that argument doesn't hold water. He did look like crazy massive. So, and what I'll say about Dennis Wolf is he has to be crazy massive.
Yeah, can he get back to where he was before the injury? Because
dude, he's
got such a big frame, you know.
Yeah, he's injuries are terrible because hardly anyone comes back from them.
I know. It's a shame.
You know. And he didn't have an injury like, did you pull your hamstring? No, my neck, my spinal column that supports everything. It's like a structural.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like it's remodeling an apartment with paint and a new toilet versus you got structural issues here. We must just bulldoze it.
Yep. No, I know what you're saying. It's a very good analogy. I mean, it's a very good observation. I mean, how do you get back to that point? It's like, I mean, he did take, in his defense, he did take off 2 years or more, I think, so he gave himself enough time to come back, but I don't know if his physique will be able to respond.
Yeah, but was he training for the 2 years to come back, or was he just training in like the last, 16 months?
Right. It's hard to tell. I did a video on the history of site enhancement oils. You're starting with Essicline, and I talked about how Chris Clark came about his thing. It was a rant. We put it up on Friday. It was very popular. If you guys want to take a look at it, it's also up on the RxMuscle website. And I know people are obsessed with synthol. Someone sent me a video. I know it's been floating around. It's like this documentary they did on one of these guys from Brazil or something like that. And this guy he weighed 130 pounds, and he injected every body part with oil. I don't know if you saw it. It's he goes to the farm. It's like mineral oil from the pharmacy. They actually show the oil. There's no sterility to it at all. And he's just opening up the bottle and just pulling it up into a 10 cc syringe and just popping it in his chest, right near the nipple, which of course makes it just look like he's got breast implants basically. And this guy looks ridiculous, and he walks around the streets. They're showing this guy walking around the streets with no shirt on, and people are they're looking at him, but they're hysterically laughing at him because he looks ridiculous. And he's like,
yeah, but he likes attention no matter what. So
he's like, I love that people see me and they stop and they ask me to pose. And I'm thinking, this guy's delusional.
Is he doing the IFBB Pro Elite this year? Or?
Oh my God! It's insane what people will do to their body. I always thought the guys that tattooed their whole body up, where they covered every ounce of their body,
Me too.
I thought they were insane. I'm like, even Tattoo Timmy. I think Tattoo Timmy's a great guy. I love him, but he tattooed his whole face and head with like a solid black tattoo. And if you watch his YouTube channel, which I do because I find him interesting, he talks a lot about, why he tattooed himself, and I don't know if he regrets it. He's got it to a certain degree. Maybe he can go to Lee Priest's tattoo removal guy. I don't know. I don't even know. But he's got so much. It's so dark that I don't think you can even get rid of it. And, I'm thinking it's the same thing with these synthol guys. Like, why would you want to fuck your body up so severely and disfigured? At least tattoos are right. All right, it is what it is. It's ink, but these guys are injecting like hundreds of cc's into these body parts. It's not even muscle. It's just like balloons under the skin. It looks like you have to be moronic to do this. It's like the ultimate in deformation. Like, you see these native island people from like Papua New Guinea, and they put rings through around their neck and stretch their neck so they have these long necks, or they do these kooky disfigurement things. That's part of their tribal heritage, and you think, wow, how primitive these people. What a bunch of morons. And then you see someone like this guy, and you're like, this guy's dumber. This guy might be stupider than those guys. This guy's walking around with 28-inch arms that are basically like balloons under the skin. And that's not even to say, God knows what the health ramifications of this are. A lot of these guys get these major infections. They have to get arms amputated and stuff like that. But assuming you don't get an infection, I mean, it just looks ridiculous. You can't fit into anything. You can't go anywhere because no one, you cannot be seen in public other than to be like a circus act. But people do this stuff all the time. It's very big, John Romano told me, in South America and Mexico. It's like the new fad thing to do. And the women are doing it too. They're injecting their asses with it to have big butts and their boobs, and just nuts. People are crazy.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. We had an iron debate this week.
Yeah, that'll go. It's going to go up on Monday, I think. We could tease it a little bit. It was about coaching. It was
me, Phil Viz,
and
Phil Viz
Fakri.
And Fakri. I thought Fakri. I hope Fakri's listening. Fakri, I thought about you like 20 times since that show.
It was a good.
I can't wait to see him to make him laugh.
Fakri's great because Fakri, when you debate Fakri, he goes right for your weakness, right immediately for your weakness. Like it's like a pit bull going after a piece of fucking meat.
That's why.
Right, and he just won't let go.
Here's Fakri getting into wife. I thought this. Fakri, I hope you get my humor. Here's Fakri getting in a fight with his girlfriend. Is he married or got a girlfriend?
I don't even know anymore. I don't know.
Hey, honey, I got 84 pro cards.
right. Exactly.
Because it's an impressive an impressive resume.
Yeah.
So if there's any fallback, anything, whatever, I got 84. That's it speaks for itself.
It's funny because I don't know. I couldn't count anything I've done anything in my life. Like I was trying to figure out once, like I wonder how many girls I've dated over the years. I was trying to get all the. I couldn't even remember all the names of the people that I dated. Not that I dated that many, but I'm just saying. I'm not talking just casually even. You went on a date with this girl because when you're young, you're like 18, 19, 20, you remember everything. Now I can't. And the fact that he knows how many pro cards he's got is incredible because I have no idea.
Well, it is, but that's he would tell you that and rightfully so. That's it's a big deal. It's a big accomplishment. Some people don't get anyone with them.
True. You're right. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much all that's going on in my world, in your world. I'm hosting something at the house here on February 10th called Carpet Fest. Now, this
Carpet Fest.
Yeah. Carpet Fest it doesn't have anything to do with laying carpet in your house. It has to refer to carpet pythons, which are Australian pythons. And these guys who run this radio show, Eric Burke and Owen McIntyre, they run this radio show called Morelia Python Radio, because Morelia is the genus of the carpet python, basically. And they started this thing up in the Northeast there called Northeast Carpet Fest, where guys would just come around and get together, talk about snakes and all that kind of stuff. And they've been holding it in different regions of the country. And so they want to do one in Florida called I guess Southeast Carpet Fest, and no one's wife will let them hold it in their house. So, of course, they somehow reached out to me. And I said, yeah, you know what? I have my own building. That's fine. We could do it. And so I I'm hosting Southeast Carpet Fest at my house here on February 10th. For anyone interested in snakes, you can contact us at the Southeast Carpet Fest Facebook page. This is for real.
I want to attend the Secrets to Being a Snake Breeder.
Yeah. No, but just listen. It's actually a good idea. It's actually a bunch of guys who are interested and want to talk about snakes and breeding, reptiles and lizards and all that stuff. And they hang out and you have food and it's great because all I have to do is provide the place. They're going to organize who brings the food, who brings this. They have T-shirts. They're raising money. They're doing an auction to raise money for USARC, which is an organization that supports the reptile breeders and fights the government when they try to ban stuff. And it seems like the reptile industry is way more organized than the bodybuilding industry is. So I actually had to go on this radio show to promote.
Speak for yourself. You might be talking about the elite IFBBs not organized.
So I had to go on this other radio show called Morelia Python Radio this past Tuesday, and I did just to promote the event. And I'm used to being the host, where I control the show, and to go on another show it's tough because they're controlling the show, and I know what I want to say, so I have to I feel like Howard Stern. Ever see Howard Stern go on the Letterman show or the Letterman show? He would he would take over the show. So I had to take over the show temporarily, just to basically. Tell my stories or whatever, and they were trying to raise money and get people to buy T-shirts. The T-shirts are $20. All the money goes to the USARC, this donation thing. And USARC, like I said, fights for the rights of reptile keepers to keep snakes, which is important. And they've won battles for the reptile community. So I'm like, you cheap guys. Every frickin' person who watches this and listens to this podcast, which they have thousands of listeners, should be buying a T-shirt. Because it's $20, I said, and you're getting free content. These guys do a 3-hour radio show every single week. I don't know how they do it. You think I'm dead after an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half. They do 3 hours every week. I'm like, the least you could do is support the show by buying a freaking T-shirt. So I sold a lot of T-shirts for them. So by opening my big freaking mouth. So anyway, that's February 10th. I'm hosting this thing. I'm diversifying. I don't want to just be all about bodybuilding, so I'm nurturing my reptile breeding roots and supporting the industry. And but I think it's a good idea. I think that we should have Iron Fest or something like that. We should call it when we should set up at different regions of the country where bodybuilders who want to come around and talk about, I guess snake breeders talk about how to breed snakes. I guess bodybuilders would talk about how to take drugs and what diets would work and that kind of stuff. And
they just do that at contests.
But it's better. It's why you can there's no pressure. There's no itinerary, and you hold it in different regions of the country so that people don't have to necessarily fly in. If they want to fly in, they fly in. Some of the people flying into Florida because they want to get out of the cold weather in the north, but.
Well, I'll host the first one, me and Tony Atlas. How's that?
Okay, you do Northeast Carpet Fest in Maine. I mean, Northeast Iron Fest in Maine. I'll do Southeast Iron Fest in Florida. And I'll get Farnsworth and Pete Ciccone can hold, what would that be? I guess Southwest? Is it Southwest?
What is that? South.
Western Iron Fest out there in San Diego. And we'll get Ronnie Coleman to hold South. The South, I guess, would be considered what's Texas? Just South?
Southwest
Iron Fest, and we'll get Fuad Abiyad to hold North. The North.
Yeah.
Northern.
We'll get that kid, the Mexican kid you were talking about with all the oil on all the body parts.
He could do South American.
He could do the South America. Yeah. He'd love it.
They could talk about what the best oil is, what the best supermarket oil is.
Yeah.
Walmart's got a sale on the mineral oil. by the drum you can buy it. Oh my God, crazy fucking people, Chris. I don't know what to say anymore. Sometimes I'm speechless, and I'm speechless when I see those guys. Also, if you guys haven't signed up, we have 5 slots left for the I can't even remember. Secrets of Becoming a Diet Guru seminar I'm holding on February 24th. That's Saturday, February 24th in Cape Coral, Florida. If you want to learn how to be a diet coach, if you want to learn about how the nutritional aspects of it, supplements, diet, performance-enhancing drugs, detoxification, pre-contest, off-season, I talk about everything, basically. It's a 10-hour seminar I give. You can sign up at DavePalumbo.com. There's only 5 seats left for that February course. Don't wait, because I know everyone waits the last 2 weeks, and they all contact me. Can I get in? Can I get in? Can I in? And some people get in, some people don't. So don't wait till the last minute, guys. Also, what else is there? This coming week, if anyone has any suggestions for people you'd like to get on the show, people you want me to interview, you can always contact me at huge285@AOL.com. I've been getting some good suggestions, I got to tell you. I got some very, very good suggestions. I'm not going to say. I have to keep a lot of this under wraps because I don't want
to get on the show.
Because I don't want to sabotage. I don't want anyone trying to sabotage who we're getting on the show. So the great thing lately, people have been just calling me and saying, "Hey, Dave, I want to come on the show." So I'm like, "Oh, yeah, all right, that's cool." I don't really have specific. I have a couple specific stuff we're going to do next week, but nothing, super in stone. But it seems like Monday morning or Sunday night, I get all the calls from people and saying, "Oh, did you hear this happen? Did you hear that happen?" And that's usually how we respond to what we're going to do for the week. But this was a good week, a lot of good coverage. And I guess with the Arnold Classic coming up, quicker and quicker every week, things are getting exciting in the bodybuilding industry. But it's still mellow. It's still mellow. I like that. Very relaxing. Matter of fact, Chris, I sent a snake up to someone in Maine.
That's because you got a baby. Excuse me. You got a baby in the house. A baby always mellows out the house.
No, it doesn't. It's crazy.
Yes, it does.
We don't do anything. We can't go anywhere because it's too.
Well, that's half the fun.
Too stressful to not go anywhere.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So what I do is today I went out and
diapers. That shit. Dude, give it another year. When Logan's still in diapers and the baby's in diapers, it's just ridiculous.
Logan said his first he didn't say his first word, but because he says mama and dad, but he said baby today, which was the first for him.
There you go.
He just hasn't been speaking, but you know what? I'm not worried. Everyone else is worried. Everyone's like, "Oh, you should be speaking 50 words." Blah blah blah. I said, you know what? My dad told me that I didn't speak a single word until I was 2.5 years old, and my dad knew. He's like, you knew everything. You understood everything. You just didn't speak, and I knew that you knew what was going on, and I knew when you were ready, you were going to speak. And he said, when I decided to speak, I started speaking not just one word, but multiple words. So. I think Logan's going to get to that point too, and Palumbos we're very intelligent, but we're very slow learners.
Well, because you're
stubborn. We're stubborn.
Yeah.
That's why. How are the Acetos in terms of language skills? Quick.
They pick up real quick. Spelling, language.
What was your oldest one? How old was he when he spoke?
I don't know, but my 4-year-old.
Yeah, but that doesn't count because the ones that come after the first one pick it up from the other one.
I can't remember. That was 14 years ago. Who knows,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's called early Alzheimer's. I was listening to a podcast. Someone sent me a link to. It was the Joe Rogan podcast, he always has some good shows. And he was interviewing Mel Gibson, who was on there with the doctor that he used for his dad. His dad had organ failure. His kidneys were failing. He had they needed a hip replacement.
Yeah.
He had heart problems. He took him down to this clinic in Panama where they do stem cells. They do mesenchymal embryonic stem cells, and I don't know if you listened to the podcast, but they basically did an IV infusion first of the stem cells, which is something new that they're doing now, which is for total organ regeneration. In other words, it just floods the body with these stem cells, and evidently they're illegal in the United States. These specific stem cells, so. People having to leave the country to do it. This doctor was a U.S. doctor who was accredited in Panama to do these procedures, and I'm sure it's probably a fortune. But so his dad got that, and then he got massive injections of the stuff directly into his hip joint. Hip's fine, doesn't need a hip replacement, and it's like he was regenerating. His kidneys are functioning again. His heart is better. And it's amazing. I don't know if I should believe it or not, but it seems almost too good to be true. Joe Rogan was a little skeptical on the whole thing, but Mel Gibson was there. He's like, "Look, I came on the show. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe it because I guess he had taken his dad to the Mayo Clinic first for just whatever they can do for him, do for my dad, And at some point they were just like, well, there's nothing really more we can do for you, and so he tried it out. He said it was a big thing because his dad's like 92. It was a big trip down there, but his dad decided to do it, and he took him down there, and it worked. What do you think about that? And do you think that they should be legalized in this country?
Should be legalized. I'm still waiting for the pansy senators to legalize tests and antidotes. So So I can get off the treadmill and into the gym.
It all comes up.
I can lift weights rather than just do treadmill. Have my knees and hips hurt.
Yeah. Well, you can get some stem cells in your whole body infused.
I think it should absolutely be legal. You know why? Because we have a healthcare system. Don't you love when I get political? We have a healthcare system that you have to pay for.
Right. You're right.
Pay. So if you want to pay for tests and anthe, for God's sakes, can I please just go in and buy it?
Right.
And if I want to get, if I have melanoma and I want to stem cell my, if I want to snort stem cells, I should be able to, have access to purchasing because we have a pay healthcare system.
Yeah.
You have to buy the stuff.
They actually just said that you're no longer going to be allowed to use the stem cells they collect from fat tissue. So in other words, if you go for stem cell injections in this country, you can get them from one of three places. One place is from your bone marrow, which is where they get the most potent ones, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
One place is it used to be your fat cells, and they spin down the fat. It's harder to get them from there because there's not as many in there, but you can get it. Matter of fact, when I went for stem cells, they told me that I wouldn't even be a candidate because I don't have enough fat on my body. Just 100% honest. They said you don't have enough fat to extract it to spin down. And the third place is you can buy them from a lab. Now, I don't know what type you're actually buying, but I opted for the third option because I didn't want them drilling into my iliac crest to get some bone marrow to get stem cells from my body. If I had enough stem cells to begin with, I wouldn't need to get these stem cells injections, right?
Yes, that's
so
right.
I guess in Panama what they're using is they're using the mesenchymal embryonic stem cells they're getting from the fetal tissue, and what they're doing is they're isolating them, they're cleaning them up, and they're reproducing them in a laboratory in cell culture so that they're producing massive amounts of these things, and then they're selling them, I guess, in measured amounts. I don't know how they do that. And then these doctors down, like in Panama, a lot of them are American doctors that are working out of there, and they're seeing celebrity patients, people who are flying down there, probably, like I said, paying a fortune for this stuff. But if it's working, it's working. So I don't know. I think it's something to explore. Obviously, I think that the future of medicine of healing might be stem cells if they can really figure out how to efficiently apply them. I think the American Medical Association is petrified of stem cells because all these drug companies might go out of business, and that's not good. They support all the re-election campaigns, and they support they bribe all the congressmen and everything like that. They don't want their drugs.
The pansy congressmen. That's my new name for them ever since the beginning of the show. The pansy congressmen. God, they look like so pansy.
They're just old. That's all.
They're just pansies. What did you have a quote of the week?
Think about where we came from. We came from the Pilgrims. They were Puritans. We're very, very uptight people.
We bypassed them. My father came from Italy, so we didn't come from the Pilgrims.
No, but that's who runs the country, the Puritans.
Oh,
right. If you think about it, it's all the you don't have any minorities in the government. Very few, if you think about it.
Well, I mean, you can be a minority pansy.
Yeah, but they adhere to what everyone else is doing. We come from a puritanical country that's too conservative, and everyone else does everything before us. You notice that? It's like the Blackman. We'll just do it better. That's all. Let them do it first.
That's a good formula. Let them do it first, and we'll do it better. There's nothing wrong with that.
I say be the innovator. Don't you think that's? I always like to innovate. I don't like to copy people. Because I think it's just unoriginal. Let everyone else follow you. That's always look. It's harder to be the originator because you got to actually think.
Absolutely.
You actually got to come up with original thinking. And that takes actually effort. And you have to also be not afraid to lay it on the line.
Yeah, which people
and a lot of people are.
Oh, people are always afraid to lay things on the line.
You know what? Here's the quote. I'm going to give you the quote of the week. I looked up quote of the week, and this is perfectly what we're talking about. If you don't act on life, life will act on you. That's my quote of the week. In other words, if you want to wait around for life to tell you what to do, don't act.
Well, you have no life. You'll have no life.
You got to
just if you're not actively directing your life, then life is directing you, and you're just a player. I mean, you're not even a participant. You're just like a bystander in your own life.
Yep. But most people live their life like that, Chris. They are afraid. They're waiting
I
for
was just
everyone
gonna
else to
say
do it
fear,
first,
fear,
and then
fear.
they'll jump on the
You
bandwagon after.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. Fear.
And on that very positive note, because what is the opposite of fear? Love. So be in love.
No,
Love
confidence.
your life.
Confidence is the opposite. You can be confident and still never be in love.
You can't be, if you're in fear, you can't be in love. You can't love. And love is it doesn't just mean loving another person. It means loving what you do, having a passion for what you do on a daily basis. You know, so many people live their life and they're miserable in everything they do because you know what? They don't really do what they want. They're so afraid to do it because they're in fear. If you're in fear, you can't be in love. They're opposite each other. So don't wait around, guys. If you want to do something and you want to accomplish it, you don't have to wait a year, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years. Do it right now. Who cares? Do it now. Take a chance. You know what? The worst case is you'll fail and you'll go back to doing what you're doing right now anyway. So I always say, take the risk. You know what? It always pays off. If you put 100% of what you are thinking about into what you're doing, you can't fail. And on that note, we're out of time until next week. Remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
The truth hurts.
good night, everyone.